Wisdom. What the hell is wisdom? We hear about wisdom all of the time. Quotes, proverbs, advice from our elders. But what does it really mean to be wise? More importantly, how do we cultivate wisdom in our own lives? For me, knowing something and truly understanding it are two completely different things. And applying that understanding, I think that's where real wisdom is born. Welcome to So I Was Told, where we talk about real life growth, mental health, and the things we all experience but don't always talk about. Today's episode is about wisdom, what it is, how we gain it, and why it's so much more than just knowing a bunch of facts. One of the hardest lessons I've learned in life is that wisdom means nothing unless you apply it. But here's the catch. I don't think you can really know what wisdom is until you apply it. And I don't think you can apply wisdom unless you first experience it. So you can be told the right thing 100 times, but until you feel the weight of it, until life forces you to put it into practice, you won't truly understand it. So what is wisdom? How do we cultivate this in a way that actually benefits our lives? Let's talk about it. I used to think wisdom was just being smart. Like, if you read enough books, if you knew the right things, you'd automatically just be wise by proxy. Wisdom is the ability to apply knowledge, experience, and deep understanding to make sound decisions and navigate life with clarity, compassion, and insight. Wisdom isn't just about knowing, it's about understanding the deeper implications of what you know and acting accordingly. Sometimes that means going through something painful to actually get it. Think about it like this. You can read every book about swimming. You can study the techniques, understand the science behind floating and strokes, but until you actually get in the water, you're not going to know how to swim at the level in which you've been reading. I think wisdom works in the same way. So, what makes someone wise? You see, wisdom isn't just one thing, it's a combination of qualities that shape how we process and respond to life. So, let's break that down because I think we can talk forever about this. I think wisdom essentially boils down to 6 points. First, perspective. Wisdom allows you to see the bigger picture instead of getting caught up in fleeting emotions. Don't get me wrong, we love emotions here. There's nothing wrong with emotions. You should be feeling, you should love your emotions. But if we're honest, our emotions can work against us plenty of times, especially if they're influenced by trauma, if they're influenced by our past experiences that didn't go so well. Our emotions can make us doubt. Our emotions can make us fearful. Our emotions can make us misinterpret, cloud our judgment. But Curbs, are you saying I should bottle down my emotions? Are you saying I should stop reacting whenever I see something that I'm angry about, righteously so, or see something I get overly giddy about? Are you telling me that I shouldn't be emotional at all? When all you talk about is vulnerability online and being emotional and not suppressing your emotions? Look, man, emotions are a great thing. But if you think your emotions cannot be deceitful at times, well, then I think you're in for a sad surprise. How many times have we reacted emotionally to a situation only to look back later in hindsight and realize that it actually wasn't that deep? I'm a very emotional person. I have ADHD, I have general anxiety disorder, and so all of that combined with being an emotional person that loves to be emotional, that believes his emotions help him experience life more deeply and richly. to see the beauty for what it is and let that overwhelm you. It's a great, great feeling. But all of that together, as an emotional person, as an emotional man, can lead me often to misinterpret my present situations. I become overwhelmed with my insecurities. I become overwhelmed with my worry, and I overanalyze to such an unhealthy degree a lot of social scenarios that I am in. And this is where perspective comes into play. Usually, that is experienced through someone you can trust. For me, I have people in my life who know what I struggle with, who know how insecure I am, who know how I overanalyze everything, and they help ground me by offering a different perspective. They remind me, hey, what you're hearing in your head, it's just your brain lying to you. Not everybody here hates you, not everybody here is looking at you. They help bring this different perspective that helps me remind myself that things aren't as chaotic as my brain is trying to make them seem. And I can trust in this perspective that this person I love is helping me to see. I think perspective helps us to avoid unnecessary chaos. Number two, emotional intelligence. Wisdom isn't just knowing yourself, it's also understanding others. It's the ability to respond with empathy instead of reacting impulsively. Think about the times you've had the choice to lash out, but chose understanding instead. Here's a simple example. I used to work uh, in parks and recreation, and one of the parts of that job was to watch kids during an after school program, like, tutor them, uh, play games with them, make sure they're safe. And when I first started working there, I found very quickly that elementary school children are very annoying. Very, very annoying, very entitled. They can be very rude, very outspoken, too truthful. And I used to find myself being frustrated so quickly with kids for being kids. Like I was that age. And I used to find myself getting so frustrated when a kid wouldn't listen, when he would have attitude, and he would say something stupid. And eventually, I had to learn, wait a second, I'm an adult. I'm in my 20s. They are 8 years old. Why am I letting myself get angered with them for acting the way they're supposed to act? So I was able to, or rather forced to, have the emotional intelligence to know, okay, this person is not going to, behave in the way that I expect them to behave. And that kind of helped me have a little more grace for these kids because they're just kids. It doesn't help to yell back at them or to be frustrated with them. And so I learned how to respond in a much different way because, man, they're learning life just like you did. They're experiencing all of these crazy emotions every single year of their life just like you did. It's hard. It's hard. That's wisdom at work. Number three, humility. The wisest people, in my opinion, are the ones who admit they don't know everything. They stay open to learning. The moment that you think you know it all, I think is the moment you stop growing. I want to talk to the person who loves what they're doing, and the moment their passion for what they love starts to attract me into their passion, instead of responding with gatekeeping comments or, acting like they are the purveyor of the things they're passionate about, they get excited along with you. They're the ones encouraging you to learn more. They invite you along with them to learn more, and they teach you along the way. They don't gatekeep. Wisdom is open to understanding. They don't know everything. They might not know everything, but life is this beautiful process of always learning, of beginning again, and sharing that knowledge, that wisdom with those who are around you. Number four, patience. Not everything needs to be an immediate reaction. Wisdom is knowing when to act and when to wait. And sometimes silence is the best answer. Sometimes letting things unfold naturally is better than forcing them. Number 5, and I think this is one of the hardest ones, at least for me. And also, I think it's one of the points that most people just completely either forget about or don't even know exist. And to me, that's integrity. See, I think wisdom aligns actions with values and principles, even when life gets hard. It's so easy to talk about values like you own them. Easy to talk about values, but real wisdom shows up in action when no one's watching, when it's inconvenient, when it's hard, when it hurts, when your inclination is to protect yourself, when your inclination is to do what you want to do, when your inclination is to do what you think is right, when doing the right thing costs you something. That's integrity. When your values and your principles line up in the moment, when life is put to the test. I think all of that together ultimately makes us the 6th point, which is resilience. Wisdom isn't about knowing how to do something so that you can avoid the hardships in life. Wisdom isn't about living your life in a certain way so you never have to struggle. It's about learning from all of the struggles you've been through. It's about learning from every failure that you've had to experience. Without a doubt, life is going to test you. Without a doubt, you will fail. You will make mistakes. But wisdom is what allows you to take those lessons of failure and keep moving forward instead of letting them break you. So how do we actually build wisdom? Because it's not something that just appears one day. It's something we have to develop. 4 ways I think that we can really cultivate wisdom in our lives: experience, reflection, openness to growth, and surrounding yourself with wise people. Experience. Wisdom comes from doing, from living. Wisdom comes from not getting it right the first time, but learning from those failures, paying attention to the lessons that those challenges teach you. It's not just about going through things. It's not just about suffering. It's not just about, like, you don't become wise by, maybe I'll just figure out, let me just become addicted to pornography so that I know how to not become addicted to pornography. If all you did after every mistake, after every hard season in your life was just come out at the end of that, be thankful, head on to the next chapter of your life without reflecting what you went through, then I think we lose out in truly extracting that wisdom from our experiences. See, wisdom isn't just about going through things and thinking you're automatically going to learn from what you just went through. Because some of y'all, not gonna lie, you'd be making the same mistake over and over again. There's got to be an intentional process to that extraction. In my opinion, reflecting is journaling, it's therapy, it's deep conversation. It's not ignoring how you messed up, it's not ignoring what you just went through. It's reflecting on them, it's bringing it to the light, it's talking about it. It's the openness to growth. If you're not reflecting on your experiences, then you're not going to be open to growth in a way that's actually going to build you up. See, I think because wisdom is not just intellectual, but physical, that means that wisdom requires a willingness to change. And if you're too stubborn to admit when you're wrong, you'll never grow. Or if you're too stubborn to admit in your wrongness that you should do something to not end up in that situation again, you're never going to grow. And I don't think you can do that alone. I mean, you can do it alone, but I think it's really hard and stupid. Ultimately, I think the best way to help you stay on track with extracting wisdom from your experiences via reflecting and maintaining this attitude of openness to growth is by keeping yourself accountable. Surrounding yourself with wise people. I've heard this a million times growing up. And in my 31 years of life, after my divorce, once I lost all of my friends, had to start over again. People have come into my life and they've left. And one of the truths that has remained true through all of my life is that you become like the people you spend the most time with. I don't want to say you can't have fun in life, but if all you're doing with your life is spending it seeking pleasure, seeking ways in which you can come out on top, seeking ways to protect your peace, seeking every desire that just wells up in your heart without considering possible outcomes of just going after what you lust for, you're going to find people who enable you to do those things. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you're around people who lack self awareness, if you're around people who lack integrity, who lack patience, it's going to rub off on you. I love, well, how should I say this? Not necessarily, some of you guys know I like THC, right? Every now and then I take an edible, I feel great. I love the way it feels. I love to go out in public. I like to take an edible, at a concert, enjoy music. I think that THC is a great way, when taken responsibly, to have a great time. I know for some people, they like to drink to be social. For some people, they like to, well, I can't really think of another example besides weed and alcohol without getting too kind of extreme. As myself, I don't really have experiences outside of weed and alcohol. I don't drink anymore. I used to drink when I was younger sociably, so I do know what it means, to feel buzzed and all that stuff. But I can't really speak much about, shrooms or something. But anyways, all things in moderation, right? But I'm pretty sure we all know someone, or we are that person that isn't the best at keeping that rule. Maybe our idea of fun, maybe their idea of fun is getting faced drunk when you go party. Maybe their idea of fun is getting together with a bunch of friends and making fun of that one person, having a great time at that person's expense. I mean, there's a million ways to define this in the most unhealthy way. Point of the matter is that you can take pleasurable things and elevate them to the point where they end up enslaving you. They end up consuming you. And in being consumed, you end up making stupid decisions. We don't realize they're stupid because we've lost integrity. We've lost humility. We've lost resilience, patience. We've become hyper individualistic, completely consumed by capitalistic ideologies that have taught us we should pursue pleasure and personal desires above our communities. Again, we should protect our peace before our communities. We've worshiped individualism at the expense of communal healing, of communal joy, of communal life. We don't know what it means to have a village who is after the well being of the village. I get it. It sucks living in this freaking culture, this hustle culture, this capitalistic society. Everything around us is pressuring us to do things we don't want to do, and we've got to do those things even harder because of the systems that are in place that are against us. I get it. But friends, our gut reaction is always going to want to do the extreme to combat the extreme misery we're in. Surround yourself with people who think deeply, who act in integrity, who handle life with wisdom, who love to have fun, but not at the expense of their safety, of their health. And in the end, you'll absorb that too. So, where does wisdom show up in your life? When was the last time that you knew what the right thing was, but you didn't do it? What held you back? Maybe there was a time where you ignored wisdom and you learned the hard way. Either way, those moments shape us. I'm not saying that to be wise, you have to be perfect. that to be wise, you should never royally fuck up. Wisdom isn't about being perfect. I fuck up all the time. More than anyone, need to know how to embody wisdom. I want to embody wisdom. I don't want to be ruled by my emotions. I don't want to act without thinking. I don't want to pursue every thought that comes into my head that leads me to believe what I want is good for me. There's nothing wrong with seeking pleasure in life, whether it's through video games, through sex, through art, through recreational, safe drugs, alcohol. There's lots of things in life that are fun, that are morally gray, whatever. I'm not saying that you need to live a certain way and avoid fucking up your entire life. I'm just saying, learn, grow, make better choices. I don't think the goal in our life should be to have wisdom. I think the goal in our life should be to live with wisdom. My hope is that we can cultivate that wisdom, not just in knowing, but in doing.